Look at this. Everybody here from in Elmira, New York. Can you believe it? Anyway, so I just want to turn it over to the introduction.
Yeah.
Go and
no, I'm going to let you give it.
Oh, no. Oh, you're better at it. Then you ask me questions. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I know there's NPC here. Someone wants to know.
MCC.
Here. We need 2 empty people.
Mentally or physically.
Probably $5.
Back there, what up? Understanding of most channelings or mediumships is that they usually are, not in every case, but usually seem to be the product of an arrangement or an agreement that is made prior to the physical life itself, and that your life contains whatever kinds of scenarios it needs to contain to get you to remember that you made the agreement and to give you whatever skills are necessary to fulfill the agreement if you still have a mind to. And how everyone gets there, of course, is different depending upon the style of life they're living and the type of person that they are, and how they need to arrive at that awareness. For me, the biggest turning point was about 14 years ago, on 2 different occasions within the same week, with 4 friends with me on the first occasion and 2 friends with me on the second occasion. We had very close physical broad daylight sightings of Bashar's spacecraft over Los Angeles. First time about 150 feet distance for about 30, 40 seconds. Second time about 70 feet distance for about the same amount of time. In both cases, the same small equilateral triangular dark gray metallic craft about 40 feet on the side. Now, what I didn't understand at that point, aside from being excited about seeing what everyone called a UFO, and what I understand now, is that physical sighting, both of those physical sightings, were his way of tapping me in the subconscious memory to get me to start learning the things I needed to learn to fulfill the agreement. Because after the sighting, I began doing more research into UFO phenomenology and metaphysical studies, found that they were quite intertwined in the literature at that time, and still are. And in reviewing that literature, researching that literature, came across many other ideas such as channeling. Eventually, several years later, someone introduced me to several channels who were practicing at the time in Los Angeles. And I went to check that out, and after a while, when I had satisfied myself that the information coming through the channel seemed to be workable, the entity coming through that channel offered to teach channeling for whoever was interested, because there were several people that had expressed an interest. Now, even at that time, I took him up on the offer, but it wasn't because I thought I was going to wind up doing this. There really weren't very many books on the subject, and I figured, well, I'll go into the class because I'll see something new in action. I'll learn something new. So I did go into the class, and when I was in a receptive state, from the guidance and the meditations that were given from the other entity from the other channel, Bashar and his people made the telepathic connection with me. As soon as they made that telepathic hit, the memory of having made the agreement prior to the physical life came back. What came with it was the memory of who they were, who I was to them, why the ship sighting had occurred, and many, many dream conversations that I had completely blocked from my conscious memory all came flooding back at that one moment. And I saw the path of preparation that I had taken in order to get to that point. At that point, the telepathic message basically summed itself up by saying, okay, now that you remember you made this agreement, do you still want to fulfill it? Because it was a choice, and it always is a choice. Obviously, I said yes, and that was about 4.5 years ago, and I have done it for the last 4.5 years. Now, Bashar does present himself as a member of an extraterrestrial community. They are in another dimensional plane, but they do have a physicality. It's not identical to ours, but it is similar in many ways. I have, through the sightings and a lot of other experiences, my own validations for Bashar being who he says he is. But the one thing in particular that I really like to stress, especially to new people, is that there is absolutely nothing about these interactions that in any way, shape, or form insists that you have to believe that Bashar is who we say he is, because I can't prove it to you now anyway. Bashar has said that maybe in about 10 or 20 years, when enough change takes place on our planet, he and his people and other civilizations may be able to more blatantly present themselves and interact with us on a physical level. Right now, they're doing it this way, in much the same way that disembodied consciousness does it through the channeling phenomena, expressly for the purpose of staying in the background so that the information in the interaction is the most important thing and not who's delivering it. He has said many times that he's noticed in our civilization that we have had a tendency in the past to sort of lock onto the messenger and throw the message in the garbage can. So he wants to make sure that that doesn't happen to the best of his ability. So they stay in the background so that the information is really the only thing you can get a hold of. And through that information, you can, if you use it, prove to yourself that it works, but it's not critical to have to believe that their opinion or their point of view is any more important nor more powerful than our own about our own lives. They're simply here to reflect to us the ideas that have worked for them, and if we want those ideas to work for us, we can apply them or not. It's completely in our hands, and they want us to realize that it is, in fact, completely in our hands, so they're being very non-interferive about their sharing. The word itself, Bashar, is not literally his name. In their society and their evolution right now, they're pretty much telepathic and do not use names as such, but he realizes that we still need it for convenience in conversation. So we chose the word out of one of our own earth languages. It's actually Arabic, which is partly my background, which is why he chose it. And the word, even though I didn't know what it meant when he chose it, because I don't speak Arabic, seems to have several different meanings. He gave one meaning, and a lot of other people who do speak Arabic have given me different meanings over the years. So even though it has many different meanings, each and every one of them does seem to apply to what it is he's doing. And the first meaning he gave is that the word Bashar means commander, which is something similar to what he is in his society. The second meaning is just on a very simple level means either the man or the being, and on a broader sense, humanity in general. I think perhaps the most appropriate meaning is the Armenian dialect, because in that dialect the word Bashar means messenger, and that's basically what it is he's doing, is acting as a go-between between his civilization and our civilization. So we use that as his name, just to refer to him by. Now, the one thing, I know a lot of you are familiar to some degree with some of the tapes that we have done. I don't know to what extent a lot of you are familiar with that, but one thing I would like to underline, especially for people that are new to it, is that Bashar is a very direct entity. He's not shy in the least, so I would ask that you don't be in return in terms of your interactions with him. He's not going to pull anything from you that you don't want to talk about, but I would like to ask that you don't hold back from talking about something or asking a question if the only reason you're holding back is because you feel it's a silly question or you'd be wasting everyone's time. There's no such thing. Every single interaction that anyone has ever had with him has somehow served at least the vast majority of the people in the interaction. So please recognize that everything you're here to talk about, if it really is something you want to talk about, it's a gift and everyone can learn from it. So please don't hold back on that account. Now, when he comes through, he will usually say something first that he feels is indicative of the group consciousness, or he feels is necessary to help unify the group consciousness. And he'll just talk for a few minutes on whatever subject he wants, and then he's basically going to turn it over to you. And he will do that by saying, "How may I serve you?" or sharing. Both those phrases basically means the ball's in your court. You can ask a question, have a discussion, anything you want. The way we usually go about this now is we have a line over here. These are the first four questioners. As each of them asks a question and takes their seat, the next person who wants to ask the question can come up and fill the seat at the end as they move up. And we can just keep it flowing so that there's no gap in between. What we would like to ask, if at all possible, and I know sometimes people forget this just because you get caught up in the discussion, you get caught up in the moment, is make an attempt, if you possibly can, to consolidate it to the single most important question. One question, two questions, max, if you can. Just because that will give the most amount of people an opportunity to get up here so it doesn't monopolize the time. Very often, a lot of other people are going to ask the questions you wanted to ask that you didn't ask anyway. So you will usually get the answers through the course of the entire evening. So please, focus in on the single most important issue and discuss that. If Bashar carries you further with it, by all means follow his lead, but keep it concise if you can so we can get as many people in the interaction this evening as possible, since we are relatively limited for time. This will only be about 3 hours. There will probably be a break about halfway through for about 10 or 15 minutes. and then it will continue for another hour, hour and a half after that. If, however, and this is the second important point, aside from the idea of not being shy about asking a question, what's going on here, as far as I understand the mechanic, is basically it's a telepathic link-up. My consciousness becomes diffused or defocused as the persona that I normally am. When it is softened in that way, I can no longer analytically think. I can only feel directly and experience direct. So what happens is, in being in that state, it allows his consciousness to link with mine, and my consciousness takes on, for lack of a better term, the frequency or the vibration of his thoughts. So what you're actually getting is a model of his consciousness made out of my energy. I'm acting like a translation box. The words that you hear, he's not speaking. They are simply drawn from my subconscious automatically to make the most sense out of the concepts that his thoughts are sending. So I'm acting sort of like a human telephone in that way, where you speak into one end, it's translated into electricity, and retranslated back into words at the other end. You're getting kind of an indirect link-up. But because that's the mechanism, sometimes the concepts that he talks about, if they really are alien or foreign to us, may not make sense at first, or the words, because they're simply being automatically cued in, may not necessarily fit the concept precisely because the concept is different than something we thought about. Basically what I'm saying is that if for any reason any of the information is not understandable to you, and you want the concept to be clear, stop him, shout out loud, "Bashar, I don't get it. Could you clarify, please?" No matter whose question it is, stop him in the middle of the question if you don't understand what he's saying, and ask for a clarification. Now, the one thing I would like to ask you is don't take the opportunity to sneak in your own question, but let him clarify it and let him get back to the questioner that he's already dealing with. So feel free, however, to relate to him that directly and that informally. It's not rigid. There's no controls to this. He relates directly to individuals, and it's a very open forum kind of a discussion. When I am going into the altered state, and when I'm coming out, because of the defocus of my consciousness, I get a little bit disoriented. None of this tires me, none of it depletes me, it actually energizes me. But when I do come out at the break, and when I come out at the end, when he says goodbye, it takes me a minute to refocus. What I would just simply ask all of you is that when he says take a break, or when he says goodnight, don't get up and talk or move all at once. Let me refocus just for a minute, and then I'll let you know when I'm back. If you all start talking at once, it's just a little bit jarring, and it scatters me, because it's like having a whole bunch of people screaming in your ear when you're trying to wake up in your bedroom in the morning. Let me remember where I am and who I am, and I'll let you know when I'm back, and then you can run around and scream and use the workout equipment or whatever you want. That's okay. Also, when I'm going into the altered state, there will be a few bodily adjustments. None of this is painful. I only say that because sometimes people say it looks like it is. I'm having a wonderful time, so don't worry about it. It's just an automatic adjustment to the energy, much in the same way that your muscle might twitch now and then if you get an extra jolt, of electricity through your nervous system. And also, especially for the people in the closer rows, there will be a volume change, so don't be too startled. It will get a little bit louder. For the people asking questions, please, if you're up here, speak loudly and clearly so that not only do we get you on the tape, so it's not a one-sided conversation to the people listening to the tape, but so that also the people in the back of the room can really hear you, so everyone can participate. If someone back there cannot hear someone up here, please feel free also to say, could you speak up, please, so that everyone can participate to the best of our ability. I don't think there's anything else I have to say at this point.
I think you got it.
Okay. Once again, thank you very much for coming. Bottom line to all this is to really have as much fun as you want. The more light you are about these interactions, the lighter Bashar will be with you. So have a good time, and I'll see you all later. Thanks. evening of your time as you create time to exist.
Perfect.
Are you all alive? Thank you. Allow us to begin this interaction this evening of your time by laying down a few of the following foundations. We have discussed with many of you the whole issue of the fact that you, as many of you already know, are the creators of your own physiological reality, but not many of you understand how you do that, what the mechanism is by which you create that physiological reality. We have discussed many times that this mechanism is directly interlinked with what you call your definitions, your belief system of the physiological reality you think you ought to be experiencing, the physical reality you have been taught to think you ought to be experiencing. The idea always falls down on the notion of definition. Your own physicists now, many of them, not all of them, but many of them are beginning to realize that your physiological reality really does not have an empirical existence apart from you. That there is no such thing as physical reality without your definition of it, without your imagination to give it life, to give it breath, to give it existence. The idea, therefore, is that if you are capable of getting in touch with the definitions by which you have created the physical reality you have been experiencing for many thousands of your years, if you can change those definitions to form whatever pattern you desire them to form, then you can very simply and very easily create the realities you desire to create when you want to create them, in exactly the way you do, in fact, want to create them. As long as you understand that you are doing what you are doing, that you are expressing the desires you are expressing through joy, through love, through light, through service, through integrity, there is absolutely nothing that the universe will withhold from you. You have a birthright of ecstasy. You are made of light and love. You are made of joy. It is the prime fundamental vibration of creation, that which you call unconditional love. You are made of it. It is the prime frequency, the prime medium, the prime essence, the prime substance out of which all physiological reality is, shall we say, crystallized. Everything is energy. Everything vibrates at different frequencies. The only reason there are different things, the very definition of the word different, simply is because there are energies and frequencies which are different rates, different pitches than other frequencies. Those difference in frequencies is exactly what determines what you perceive to be this object from that object, this person from that person. Everyone is made out of the same one homogeneous substance, shall we say. The only reason you appear to be different in that way is because of the pitch, the vibrational rate at which you operate, the level at which you operate, the level at which you define yourself to be. Because you are, and every being within creation is a self-aware, self-reflective, free will entity, a holographic representation of the infinite creation, you have the ability to operate on any number of frequency levels that you desire to. Those frequency levels are automatically determined by what you buy into most strongly, as the belief you believe is most true for you. Now, because of the type of society you have created, many of you have been for a long time, shall we say, heavy into self-invalidation. And this idea of being self-invalidational has allowed you to buy into belief systems that are not necessarily representative of the belief systems that would be precisely reflective of who it is you have created yourself to be, of who it is you desire to be. Many individuals may put invalidations and judgments upon you, and you may, without sometimes even consciously being aware of it, buy into those invalidations and say, yes, you're right, I'm this, I'm that. It's not what I really want to be, but you must be right because so many people tell me this idea. Now, sometimes individuals can be reflecting to you something that you may be doing that is not necessarily in accord with who it is you could be. Sometimes they can be reflecting to you when you are not necessarily working within your integrity, but that's all right. If you can simply take the advice in the best light of unconditional love and know that your desire, your overall intention is for integrity, then you will always be able to use it in a positive and a constructive way. But when your society creates patterns and habits that are generally negative, generally domineering, generally
power-removing, then those particular atmospheres are not necessarily, just because you hear them over and over again, representative of something you really need to work on. Just because everyone else has an opinion of what you ought to be doing is not necessarily mean that it is who you are or what it is that you are best at. The idea is to remember that everyone is a mirror. That is how every being in creation has been designed. But a mirror doesn't mean that what you see in it is an absolute one-to-one reflection of exactly the things you need to work on. Sometimes an individual will attract into their lives certain individuals who may seem to be invalidational, because in attracting those individuals, by not accepting their invalidations, they reflect back to those individuals an opportunity to see what it is like for an individual to stand on their own 2 feet when they are absolutely sure of what it is they desire to do, and can give back to that invalidating individual an opportunity to stand on their own 2 feet for what they believe in. For what everyone believes in is also just as true and just as valid as any other belief. All truths are true in the ultimate sense because you create your own reality. Some of them may lack integrity. Some of them may have a high degree of integrity. But nonetheless, they are all real experiences. They are all true dimensions of reality. And not any one of them is any more or less valid than any other as an experience, as a lesson. Every situation has the potential for you to learn something from it in whatever way you wish to apply that idea. It is completely up to you. When you are as clear as you can be about the definitions of life you have bought into, then you can use every situation and see how it matches up to the definitions you prefer to have. You can take advice where it works for you. You can let it go where you believe it doesn't. And later on, if you change your mind, that's all right too, because you have that capability, you have that capacity, and you have that right. First step in the whole idea of creating your reality to be what you really desire it to be is in ceasing to invalidate yourself. Because you are the only thing you have to work with in your universe. You are the representation in your way of the infinite. And if you invalidate that, any part of it, then you do not allow yourself to function as a whole being capable of using whatever information may come to you from other individuals in a constructive way. If you do not allow yourself to love yourself unconditionally, then you do not know who you are, and you do not have something to stand up for to reflect back to everyone else, so they can see in you the shining example of what they can also be in their own way. Are you all following along with this, translating into your language adequately? Yes. Thank you very much. The idea, therefore, in all of the interactions that we have with you, the bottom line, as you say, for all these interactions, will be to remind each and every one of you of your own personal power, that you already are aspects of the infinite. And to put you squarely in touch, or roundly in touch, or triangularly in touch with your definitions, so that you know why your reality is the way it is, so you can create it to be the way you prefer it to be, as soon as you believe you are capable of doing so. It is completely up to you, completely in your hands, completely. At this timing, we will take this opportunity to thank you and extend to you our deepest appreciation in allowing us to experience your consciousness. To us, our civilizations, we are always most full of gratitude in being given the opportunity to experience the gift of your sharing. For through you, we are allowed to see that many more ways that infinite creation has created itself to be, and that expands our understanding of creation and what we have to explore and to learn as well. Remember, everyone is an equal teacher and a learner, and therefore a sharer like anyone else. We do not know everything. We know everything we need to know to be who we need to be at any given moment. You also know everything you need to know to be who it is you desire to be at every given moment. When you need to know something else, you will know it when you become something else. You do not need to know it before that. You can know other things, but remember, everything you discover, everything you know, can be pertained to who you are and who you desire to be in the present. Remember that the present is the only place you actually ever exist, and the only place you actually ever will exist, and the only place you actually have ever existed. It is always now, and always shall be now, no matter when it is. You are eternal beings, infinite beings, and you are capable of a multitude of changes in multiple dimensionality. That is what it means to be made in the image of God, in the image of the infinite creator, a multidimensional being. You are multidimensional creators too. And in these discussions and interactions, it is our desire to remind you of that, to reflect back to you what you already know. For remember, no matter what you think of yourselves, we believe in you utterly. And so we thank you for choosing at this time to be representational of your civilization. We thank you for being ambassadors and diplomats of your civilization. We thank you for allowing me to be representational of our civilizations in the Association of Worlds, for there are many listening in on this side as well. In return for the gift you are allowing us to experience by co-creating these interactions, I will ask you now at this time, in what way may I be of service to you?
Remember to speak loudly, please.
Okay. Hello, Bashar.
And good day to you.
You can say it, all right.
Okay, good. I have two questions.
Number one.
Number one is I had an experience a while back I would like to understand a little better.
All right.
A little more about.
Define.
I felt as if I was conscious at this time, and I was lifted up into another place that was very light. It had lights on both sides, but they weren't defined by this kind of physical.
Understood.
Good. And it was a very pleasant place. I felt that very content there.
Yes.
There were beings.
Yes, guys, yes.
At the end of it, but
Yes.
there wasn't any way that I could go there. I was informed that I would have to go back.
Yes.
That it wasn't time yet for me to go there.
Correct.
And
Not permanently, so to speak.
so to speak.
Yes.
And I would like to understand what that was about a
So
little
it's very typical, it's very natural. All of you are astrally connected. Many of you, now that you are expanding your senses, are allowing yourself, by accelerating your energy, to uplift yourselves, to include the physical and non-physical as one realm, one reality, so that you can extend yourself into what you call the astral realm, the etheric realm, the causal realm, wherein there are also many beings, very busy, doing their business, helping other beings, going about many other projects and ideas and endeavors. There are guides to assist any and all from your realm that may float, shall we say, up into that realm, because you are now expanding your consciousness and extending your senses to help and assist you in becoming more comfortable with that energy, so that you do not run away from the earth where you chose to be, but so that you take that energy back to the earth so that you can use it in loving and positive ways to elevate the entire vibration of your planet into that astral level to become the fourth density, or shall we say the new age, fourth dimensional earth that you are heading towards. You understand?
Yes.
So you were simply, in a sense, given an identification, an alignment. You were allowed a taste, you allowed yourself a taste, you chose to identify with that energy, so you would know what that would be like, so you could bring that down to earth and elevate that vibration to meet it halfway and uplift many individuals, including yourself. You understand?
Yes.
Does that serve you?
Yes.
Second part.
I would like to know about the connection between Orion and Scientology.
We will be brief. Let us simply say basically that there have been other stellar systems in which many different ideas have been expressed, and some of these stellar systems have expressed a high degree of limitation, regulation, negativity. Those beings, many beings within those stellar systems that desire, shall we say, to break free of those limitations, of that expression of negativity, of those negative cycles, incarnated in other stellar systems, such as your own, wherein they perceive there would come a time, your present day now, where the whole issue of positive and negative reality would be looked at, once again, on a global scale. So they could bring their experiences, their desires from the other stellar systems, and assist in the transformation of that world by learning how to blend the idea of the positive and negative into a balanced state, so that positive effects only would be chosen to be manifested upon that planet. The idea of the particular, shall we say, technology or tool that you have called Scientology, not that other individuals cannot and have not participated, it is essentially an Orion-designed tool to aid and assist those that have very strong ancient Orion connections to adapt into the Earth vibration through a methodology they are used to, some of the idea of outline, some of the idea of structure that they are used to, so that bit by bit that structure can be dissolved at whatever rate you are comfortable with, so you can expand in a way that will be of assistance to the transformation of the earth. You understand?
Yes.
Any way your imagination now desires to transform and change it into what works best for you is the appropriate timing for the change. Any tool is valid. Every tool is valid. But the idea is simply that when it no longer works for the new you, then use something else. Everything is equal. That's all there is to it. It was simply designed to allow a particular kind of energy to reincarnate into a familiar pattern so they would have at least some sense of home. Some sense of idea of this is familiar, I can deal with this, I can work with this, and I can work through it now because it has been softened by being in another system. You understand?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes, very much.
Well, thank you very much for your sharing.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have a question.
Yes.
Many of us here were at one time involved in a very tight group.
Tight?
Yes.
All right.
Family, like family.
Family.
Yeah. And
Why are you not family now?
that's why I'm here now. I want to find out how this intolerance of each other is serving.
Oh, intolerance. All right. Intolerance. Remember this, if I may simply reverse the idea into a particular point of view. Any unity that you desire upon your planet, or anywhere on your planet, will only be the product of the granting of equality and validity to the infinite diversity of the individuals on your planet. Everyone and every point of view, when it is seen as equal to every other point of view, whether you agree with it or not, that is what will allow unity to take place. You don't have to agree, you don't have to have the idea of exactly the same point of view, the same approach. If each and every individual will be willing to recognize that there is no one way to recognize one's relationship to the infinite. If there were only one way, there would only be one person. Look around. Every being, every individual is yet another way that the infinite has of experiencing itself. Intolerance exists because your society has forgotten that every individual is an aspect of the infinite and has forgotten that no matter how different things seem, everything, if it exists, must fit because there are no extraneous creations. So, intolerance is only the forgetfulness that everything belongs where it is and that there are no accidents. Now, each and every individual can learn through other individuals' differences many ideas. Not only can you learn different points of view, but you can take another individual's point of view and adapt it to your own. You can alter it in what way works for you. But also, intolerance does not allow an individual to really recognize who they actually are. Because you can use differences in the following way as well. Many times, especially because of the type of society I have created, it is actually easiest for some of you to discover who you are by seeing so many examples of who you are not. So the idea is that if you see these examples of who you are not, and you spend time invalidating them, then you never give yourself an opportunity to find out who you are. Because as you invalidate others, you invalidate yourself because you attracted them in your life. You must attract everything for a reason. If you can understand that there is always some reason why an interaction is going on, then you can get out of it what you need to get out of it to be who you are. And you can be of service to the other individual to allow them to get out of it what they need to get out of it, to be who they need to be. The idea is not to become like each other in modality, in style. The idea is to be of one mind by allowing every individual to be the strongest individual they possibly can be. Individuals forget this because they think unity is the product of conformity. Unity is the product of the granting of equality to diversity because the universe is infinite and diverse. Understand?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Oh, very much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Hey!
Hi, Bashar.
And do you good day.
Oh, there's so many different things that I could talk about, but I think I had some wonderful animals at home.
Wonderful animals. All right.
Oh, they're just super. And
Super animals.
Super animals. And they brought us so much happiness. Our dog in particular has been, well, just lately, we've been starting to call him Sea Dog. He started,
Define.
well, he looked like a dolphin.
Oh. Oh, all right.
You know, from the seat, and he was moving around my
Perhaps from
house.
the dog star.
Well,
Do you understand the reference?
I know, I've heard references to Sirius.
That Sirius energy is connected to dolphin energy on your planet. And since you call Sirius the dog star, it is also connected to the animal you call the dog, in the sense that the animal you call the dog is the guide on your planet that generally represents service and companionship and compassion.
Yeah. Well,
And unconditional love.
yes, that's what I've been feeling. It was like when I started calling him Sea Dog, and you know, he all of a sudden made overtures to me and came up on me, and we've always been close, but all of a sudden it's just like we had a special bond.
Yes. You accepted the recognition of a portion of yourself within yourself, and the animal recognized your acceptance of that portion of yourself, and so the bond is, of course, very much closer because it's now within you.
Yes, and even when he's sleeping, and I think just, you know, Sea Dog, he'll kind of like open his eyes, or... We also have a cat named Wildy, and she glows, a pink glow around her. And she's just so loving, and I know that she's been with our family before.
Yes. Many animals do also have reincarnational existence because they serve very reflective roles for many individuals. Remember that all animal consciousness chooses to function as a guide, as a reflection for many of the things that all of you need to understand about yourselves.
Yeah. Well, we made up sort of like a whole idea about where she came from, and my husband and I just did this, and we got the name Air, A-Y-R, like she came from air, and we made up a whole story about what that was and everything in kind of a joking manner.
All right. But remember, your imagination on some level is real, because you cannot imagine non-existence.
Right, yeah, so I wondered if that was a real place.
In a sense, yes. Remember that you are a reflection of the infinite creator. And even though certain places in your imagination may not necessarily apply to your physical dimension, if you can conceive of it somewhere, somehow, it must be real. Because all imagination is representational of real reality. It may be real in someone else's terms, maybe not real to you in the sense that it is solid, but it is real and an experience to someone. Some level of your consciousness knows it is an actual experience that is going on.
Yeah.
If it makes sense to you, then it is a vibrational reality that carries the reality it needs to for you. If it fits, if you can apply it in your reality, if it symbolizes what you need to feel, then on that level it is very real, and that's all that counts.
Yeah, that's true.
Also,
Oh, yes.
there are very strong Egyptian connections between you and that animal.
And also between my son, too, Egyptian.
Name?
Danny.
Yes, some.
Yeah.
Also, other Mediterranean connections.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Sure.
Hi, Bashar.
And you good day.
I really just wanted to say hi to you.
All right, next. All right. Oh, all right.
I constantly get reminded of some sort of connection with water. Okay.
All right. How does that allow you to feel when you are reminded of that connection? How do you feel about water?
I like water a lot.
Why?
I like being in water.
Why?
Kind of like soothing.
Kinda.
Peaceful.
All right.
That's the other name.
Peaceful.
Peaceful.
All right.
Yeah.
Continue.
I've noticed, since I was a kid though, it seems to be a constant connection. Like I moved to Ocean Drive. I've been connected to schools where the teams are dolphins. I lived in Florida. Roamed up and down the beach,
So what do you want to do with this connection? How do you wish to use this energy, this understanding, this connection in your reality?
I want to, well, that's what I'm asking you. I'm trying to find out. I feel that there's something there for me, but
all right.
Not quite
We will discuss it with you, but only after you allow your full imagination to come out, because there are many things you have fantasized about, but you are not considering them to be valid methodologies, making a living, in other words, by doing it. So discuss first the scenarios your imagination has already given you about what you have fantasized doing with this connection, and then we can discuss this issue further. How have you wanted to use this recognition? Have you wanted to play with dolphins?
Oh, many.
Have you wanted to work with them in many ways?
Definitely.
In what way? How do you see yourself? When you think of the idea of working with them, what pictures come into your imagination first, most easily? And what pictures give you the most joy?
Swimming with them, first of all. Just being with them and enjoying it.
All right.
Fun.
All right. What else?
Talking.
Talking. In what way?
And telepathy.
All right.
All that.
Are you getting pictures?
More, yeah.
All right. Describe the picture. Go with the flow of your imagery. Describe it. Become excited about it.
Yeah. Okay,
Well, don't say force you. I don't want to force you to have too much fun. You don't really want to.
Stuff like
Ocean.
and like I was connected to a marine research center.
All right. Yes, and what are you doing?
Talking with them.
Yes.
I don't know what.
All right. May I ask you a personal question? Thank you very much. Why aren't you doing these things? I don't know. Well? Yes, you do. Why aren't you doing these things? You know very well why you are not. Why not? What stops you? What ideas come into your imagination that stop you? Well, thank you. You found it. All right, what is it? Do share.
Well, money.
Money!
And, I guess the problem is I get so excited about so many things, okay, but my excitement lasts about a week in this and then a week in that.
So
and a
what?
week in this. Well, I feel like I should focus more on one thing.
Maybe not. Why?
Well,
Maybe all those different things are simply different ways of doing the same one thing, and that is your overall focus. Maybe all those different methodologies are simply different tools of doing the one thing that really excites you. You don't have to necessarily look at them as mutually exclusive, as contradictory, They could be all experiences you could be having to help you do the thing you really want to do. And as we said, it is our perception that the strongest, shall we say, block is simply that you don't think you can make a living at this. Oh yes, it's a wonderful fantasy. It's a wonderful picture. But everyone knows that's no way to make a living. This is what we were discussing before. The idea of what everyone tells you, all of a sudden it becomes your reality because you buy into it. Give me one reason why you can't make a living doing that. Do you know that there are individuals on your planet that do make a living doing that?
really? Where are they?
The ones in what you call those research centers interacting with those dolphins right now. You are aware that they exist, yes?
Yes, definitely.
Why can't you be one of them? Give me one reason. Are you on hold? If I may shorten the process, I will simply perceive that you will not be able to come up with one reason that I cannot turn around. All right. There is absolutely nothing stopping you from doing what you want to do. Understand this. The things in your life that excite you the most are what you are all about. That's why they excite you. And if they excite you because they are what you're all about, the universe will supply you with whatever type of abundance is necessary to allow you to keep being whoever it is you are. So you will be able to make whatever kind of a living you need to. You will have exactly what you need when you need it. Doesn't necessarily always have to be money. That's one of the tools that exists on your planet, doesn't exist on ours. We do not need it. Our interactions are more direct than that. But it is just as valid as any other tool, any other representation of abundance. It is simply that you do not always need the money, and that the idea of money isn't always the quickest way in order to have the abundance you need to do what you need to do. Because remember, the definition of abundance is simply the ability to do what you want to do when you want to do it. That's all. If it comes in a number of different ways, what do you care? As long as you still have the ability to do what you want to do when you want to do it. Understand?
Yeah, I understand that.
Do you believe it? Can you allow it to be that simple?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. All right, fair enough. Always be honest with yourself, because if you do have difficulty believing it, then deal with that. Acknowledge that you have difficulty believing it. Don't deny it. Denial is the first step to forgetting everything about who you are. Don't deny anything about yourself, including the fact that you have denial. Allow yourself to deal with the fact that you may be denying that you have a certain belief, that you do buy into the idea of doubt and fear and self-invalidation. It's all right to acknowledge that you have those feelings. If you don't acknowledge them and you don't deal with them, you can't change them. You cannot transform what you do not own, first of all. So own it. Say, all right. I do it sometimes because sometimes I don't think I'm capable. It's all right to think that way. You see, the whole issue is that once you own that it's all right to think that way, you have made it clear that it was your choice to choose the negative reality. And once it's clear that it was your choice, it's back under your control. Understand?
Yes, definitely.
So, it's all right, sometimes I don't think I'm capable of doing what really excites me the most. Acknowledge that you believe that, and then get into a very honest discussion with yourself about why you would choose to believe that way. Once again, bring it back to clarifying your definition. What kind of beliefs would you have to have? What kind of definitions would you have to buy into in order to feel that you couldn't do the thing that is most representative of who you are? Because that's what excitement is. The thing that is most representative of who you are. That's why it excites you. Excitement is the sign all of you ask for all the time. Give me a sign. What is my purpose? What is my mission? The thing that comes along that is the most exciting thing that you could be doing is the answer. That's why it excites you. Many of you, however, in looking for that purpose and looking for that mission, when excitement taps you on the shoulder, say, go away, I'm looking for my purpose in life, don't bother. I am too busy attempting to look for my purpose to have fun. I'm supposed to be serious about this. Yes, in a sense you are. Conviction is necessary. But the idea is that you are made of ecstasy, and whatever it is in your life at any given moment that excites you the most is who you are. Do it. You will be supported as you always have been supported by the universe, because it always has supported you. It's simply that the universe can only support you to the level you believe you're capable of receiving.
That's true.
Also, one very critical and important issue. When we talk about the idea of following your excitement, the whole scenario and issue of trust comes up. Infinite trust. And then we hear a collective psychic groan from many. Oh, no, that's a tough one. That's a big one. Right. Everyone knows. Here it is again. Everyone knows how difficult it is to trust all the time. It's not difficult. You know why? I'll tell you. Because you have never had one single moment, not one single second in your entire life or any of your life where you have not trusted infinitely in something. You see, you on your planet define doubt as a lack of trust. It isn't. It's an infinite trust in a negative reality. So, all you have to do is use the same infinite trust you've always had and simply redefine that trust into a positive reality. It's the same idea. You don't have to learn to do something you've never done before. You're not rusty in this area. You always have trusted. You know how to use your trust flawlessly, and all of you do it all the time. If you didn't trust in something, you wouldn't have a reality, because that's how you create the reality you experience. You would not exist. To exist is to trust. Because trusting, in a sense, is simply self-awareness, self-reflection of some aspect of yourself. It is the mechanism of realization, of manifestation of whatever it is about yourself you're most strongly focused on. So, you've always used that lens to magnify whatever you were focused on. So simply don't focus on the negative, focus on the positive. You'll get that back. Because the universe will always give you exactly what you say you're ready for. But not one crumb more. But not one crumb less either. Understand?
Understand.
There are many issues that can come up within this idea of exploring what excites you the most. Strongest among many of you is the issue of deservability. Do I deserve to be happy forever and ever and ever and ever? Do I believe that's even possible, many of you say? Well, why not? But you see, because of how your society has been trained, because of how you have been taught, if you are given a story where individuals are struggling and striving in pain and sorrow and conflict, you say, oh, very realistic story. But then someone tells you a story that goes something like this, and they live happily ever after. Oh, what a fairy tale that is. That's not like real life. Well, what is real life? Real life is only what you define it to be. Happily ever after is just fine for me, thank you very much. Now, that does not mean you will not have challenges. It doesn't mean you will not grow. It doesn't mean you will not learn and expand. Your curiosity is always intact. You will always be discovering something new. But you don't have to do it through suffering. You don't have to do it through struggle. You don't have to do it through pain. The only reason that pain exists is because pain is the result of resisting your natural self, of denial of your ecstasy. Understand? Does this excite you?
Yes!
Thank you! Thank you very much. It is up to you to apply in whatever way, shape, or form your imagination so desires.
Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you very much. I love to you.
Hello, Bashar.
Have a good day.
Thank you very much for being here.
And thank you very much for being there.
One thing, I've listened to many of your tapes, and one thing that I really love about you is your ability to unconditionally love and not judge another person.
But you see, that serves me as well. I can say it has a very selfish motive, because as much as I can unconditionally love all of you, the universe supports me that much more strongly, unconditionally.
That's true.
Serving the whole is serving the self, because you are a part of the whole.
That's true, and that's one thing that I want to, it's a force, it's a feeling, it's something I have a real hard time putting into words.
Oh, right? You don't necessarily have to, you know.
Well, you understand?
Well, basically.
Okay. Since I've been a real little girl, I've been feeling this tremendous force and energy.
Yes. Yes.
This force and energy, it's a power that I felt inside of me.
Yes.
And recently, it's been manifesting itself in a tremendous amount of anger.
Anger. Do you know what anger is?
All I know is that I find it to be more destructive than helpful.
Oh, all right. That's because you are bringing invalidation into it. Natural anger does not have to be destructive. It can be very constructive if you use it in a positive way. This is the purpose to the feeling that you are labeling anger. It is simply the energy of self-alignment, of self-recognition. Let me put it this way by an example.
Okay.
If you see something in your reality you know is not the reality you prefer, you get a rush of alignment to remind you, this is me, that is that. Compared to that, this is who I am. That is all natural anger is. And if it lasts more than 10 to 15 of your seconds, it has, shall we say, devolved into invalidation. Understand?
Yes, I don't know how to harmonize that feeling with the unconditional love. I just don't know how to put the two together.
Well, how about this way? Let's say you are doing something now that polarizes me. That is all it is, polarization.
What do you mean by polarization?
Makes me angry.
Oh.
In other words, as we have said, you do something that is not my preferred reality. So I become polarized. I, because of what I see in you, recognize much more strongly what I am compared to what you are. That polarizes us. At the same time, it unifies us, because I would not have discovered that were it not for you. So, what I can say is, oh, you have allowed me a much clearer recognition of who I am. Thank you very much. Then you And you will have used the anger in a positive way, and perhaps you will leave the other individuals scratching their heads. Understand?
Yes, I do. I would love it if I could be that level-headed about it.
But why can't you be? Why do you not choose to be? Remember this. These are choices. If you're not being, as you say, level-headed about it, you're choosing not to be. So how does not being level-headed serve you?
Makes me very right.
Oh, very right. Very right.
Makes everyone else wrong and me very right.
No.
It never really works very well.
I see. Do you enjoy being that lonely? All right. No one is right or wrong at all. It is all a different point of view. Once again, that doesn't mean we condone individuals who may act out of integrity. But the idea is simply representative of their level of understanding of what they have been taught. The only reason individuals act outside of integrity, do what you call harmful things, is because they have never been taught that they are already definitionally in control of their lives. Individuals that do negative things believe they are not in control. They are out of control. They do not know that the control is already within them. So the only reality they have to relate to, if they don't have an inner one, an inner connection to the infinite, is the outer reality. And if they believe they need to be in control, what do they have to work with? Nothing but the outer reality. So they will try to bend it into shape to match the idea they think they need to see, to force their will upon it in order to gain some sense of control. But that force, that issue, the things that make you angry in that sense, are simply exercises or expressions of their belief in lack of control. You understand? Have some compassion for these people.
I probably ought to.
It will only serve you all the more. Because you will then make connections and you can transform every negative interaction into a positive one. Remember this. Perhaps this will serve you as well. And many that wish to apply this in whatever way, shape, or form you care to. No situation has built-in meaning. We have talked about this a few times to many of you. All circumstances, to begin with, are created fundamentally neutral, devoid of meaning, empty, blank, zero. They have no built-in meaning. Circumstances don't intrinsically mean anything. They are simply a set of neutral props. You have been taught in your upbringing to assign a particular meaning to a circumstance when you see it occur. The meaning you assign to the circumstance utterly determines the effect you get out of it in your life. So if you assign a negative meaning to what you see, you will get a negative effect in your life. If you assign a positive meaning to it, you will get a positive effect. That doesn't mean that you cannot recognize that someone may be doing a negative thing. But you, if you simply recognize that you are there to interact by getting out of it what you need, if you assign a positive meaning for you, you will get a positive effect. Getting that positive effect will allow you to grow and expand in a positive way. Growing and expanding in a positive way will allow you not to force them, but to help them realize they can change too if they want to. But you at least, by expanding, by using the interaction to expand in an unconditionally loving way, are at least giving them the opportunity to change. If you simply match their frequency of invalidation, all you're doing is reinforcing the reality they are already creating that you say you don't like. Understand?
Yes.
So, actually, by giving into your invalidation, you are actually doing just the opposite of getting what you want. You are doing just the opposite of being right. You are being just like them. Oh. In what you call your biblical literature, there is a phrase many of you are familiar with, but many of you do not necessarily understand what it means. Judge not, lest ye be judged. That doesn't mean you are going to be judged from outside. The infinite is not going to judge you. It is non-judgmental. What it means is that if you judge and invalidate others, you lower yourself to the same frequency, and therefore the universe has no choice but to treat you in the same way. Understand?
Yes, I do.
Does that help?
It does.
Does it inspire you?
Matter of fact, it does.
How does it serve you?
Yes, it does.
Is it sufficient?
Well,
Maybe.
I think so. All I know is that I'll probably go out somewhere tonight and just get all pissed off at someone and,
All right.
you know,
Now,
I guess it's just something I
Oh.
have to
learn about
Well, there are many ways you can still go about it, you know. You can say, excuse me. And then you can express your anger and say, thank you, I needed that. Nothing personal. Just something I felt I needed to do. I feel much better now. At least if you do that, give them the opportunity to see the other side of you, too.
I'm a real nice person, I really
Yes,
am.
you are.
I know I am. I think a lot of people don't get to see it because I'm always angry.
Remember this also, and perhaps this can be the, shall you say, icing on your cake. If you have a reaction of that type, an invalidational reaction, when you see something else in someone else, when you get angry about it, in a sense, what you're doing is expressing your own fear. Because the only reason you would get that angry about it is because you were afraid that you contain it too. You're angry at yourself. If someone can push your button, why do you have such a button within the definition of your reality? Understand?
Oh, yes. Well, of course, the most...
You see, if I may, if what another individual doesn't relate to who you are, why would you be affected by it that way?
Because I can't relate to who they are?
Perhaps, but perhaps you're not relating to who you are. Perhaps you do not believe in who you want to be. And therefore, when you see other individuals offering you all sorts of other ideas, positive, negative, you create resentment because you believe they are not giving you the opportunity to find out who you really want to be, when in fact that's exactly what they're doing. Giving you a prime opportunity to find out exactly who it is you want to be as compared to who it is they have chosen to be.
Yes.
Understand?
Yes. I want to be I am a very big being. I want control over everything. I want everything to go my way.
You already have that. What you are forgetting is this. Everyone already has all the power they need to create whatever they want without having to hurt anyone else or themselves in order to get it. Remember, interactions do not have to be conflicted. Everybody can win. Everybody. You are under the assumption that if somebody wins, somebody loses. That's the definition. Change it. Everyone can win.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you, Bashar.
Oh, thank you very much. Sharon.
Hi, Bashar.
How do you good day?
I'd like to talk to you about my son.
Go right ahead. I'll pay rapt attention.
Okay, he's over there sitting on the other side. And when he first heard your tape, he would put on the headphones and do his homework and mouth the words that you were saying.
All right.
And I want to know if you knew him or know of him from another time, because he hooked up with you so easily.
We recognize him not from our exact stream, but we recognize that he has the energy of what we colloquially call a pilot. That can navigate on interstellar lanes. He has an innate understanding of the vibrational frequencies of navigation in that sense. And that realm, that dimension of travel, that style of travel, is not, I shall say, unfamiliar to him. He simply recognizes to some degree a similar energy to something he is familiar with.
True, because he draws pictures of spaceships and
Yes.
they come out of his head and they're very elaborate.
Yes.
Unfortunately, his teacher doesn't find them, he doesn't appreciate them as much as other people do.
All right.
So I just was curious as far as school and his learning, if he's going to do more navigational or be more towards that area when he's older.
In a sense, it can be, but it may manifest in many different ways. These things are not, as you say, chiseled in stone. The decisions are still within that individual to make. We cannot predict the future because it has not been completely decided upon by that individual. Understand?
Understood.
But if that individual is willing to understand that there are ways to blend what he wants to be, what he knows he is, with the world he has chosen to be in, then eventually he will discover ways to allow the two to exist within each other side by side without conflict. Also, some of these individuals, not in any way, shape, or form does this mean that it must be a conflicted change, that they have to get into arguments about it, but some of these individuals are also giving an opportunity for some of the sociological and educational structures on your planet to change accordingly. Because many of them are extremely rigid.
Right. I see that. I know I must have some kind of lesson with him as
Of course, you all chose to be together.
Right. And I know I had a hard time at one time integrating and trying to structure his behavior into this pattern on Earth.
All right. But you have provided a service, you have oriented him to some degree. Now remember that this is a two-way street, as you say, and that you each are learning from each other. Soften up the definitions a little bit. Learn that you do, in fact, already love each other very much, or you would not have chosen to be together. And simply look for what the relationship between you is, rather than what you both think it ought to be.
That makes very much sense to me.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Bashar.
Hello, you good day.
2 years ago, my girlfriend and I created a business, and I'm very fortunate that a lot of sites have the expression of design and art and this sort of thing.
Oh, what?
I would like to speak a little bit about art, beauty, wavelength and energy of that in our society, also in your own people.
We have expressions of art to some degree, similar to some of them not similar. I myself in many ways prefer sculpture.
Okay. What about that wavelength and that energy on this side? How does it serve?
It is a channel of make all the way through into physiological symbology. It is inspiration, solar and crystallized in physical form. It is your flame, your spark. It is a mirror, a reflection. It is a window and a gate for many individuals who come in contact with that art, discover themselves, and back the art to open up gateways of communication for them to be inspired and allow that channel through what makes sense for them. It is all these things.
And I said that I enjoy it.
Yes, you only enjoy it by your experience through your labor.
So I were manifesting expressions that others also feel.
But they do it in their way. You'll feel in yours. But all you are unique, obviously. And the fullest you can be you are, the more opportunity you give to everyone else to be the fullest they can be by seeing those reflections from you and in your art and in your expression. Art is communication with the infinite.
Thank you. Second question.
Yes.
My girlfriend and I love each other very much.
Well, thank you.
And we notice that we tend to enjoy in conflict amongst each other.
Right, and if you want to, if that's what really is saying. You like to say.
It seems what we've identified is that it seems to be an unresolved conflict from prior existence we have been associated. But we may rectify things you're on great pleasure and don't know what the purpose is of these circumstances.
May I ask you a personal question?
Certainly.
Is there something that this quote-unquote so-called conflict teaches you about yourselves that you would not necessarily discover without it? Or do not believe you can discover without it? What have you learned by every conflict?
Primarily that we have very
Wanting to be
we don't know.
Are you fine?
I guess not, but we still do it.
All right. You will continue to do it when we're not there. You have to receive information from other. There may be many habits to other lives that may, in a sense, create some of these interactions. However, we are always up to see the eye of the past. We want to have all the ingredients in the present life to deal with anything that exists in the present life. It's not about to see the past life at the expense of all of the present. Have everything you need right here, right where you are. So, all you need to do is refer the conflict now. Let's pretend that there is no other life. Where would you believe the conflict would come from if it didn't come from any other place but this life? And let me ask you this while you're pondering that. What is that you honor? It'll be strengthening. Do you understand why?
Yes.
Explain.
Be straight.
I don't let you get away with anything.
What that would mean would be that it is not so much a losing of self as a gaining of another self.
All right, more of the self, an expansion of self, but also the following analogy. You as a persona are created out of many personality fragments, yes?
Yes.
You understand it as a thought, a song level fragment, absolute strength, all in each other. Well, there I then with another king, you will gain the strengthening of your identity because, as we have said already, you are the blending of true strength to the individual components that make it up. So, by blending, you actually become a stronger individual, not a weaker one. Perhaps the issue is also the idea of your definition of vulnerability being weakness as opposed to being strength. Exposure.
Thank you, that's what I needed to know.
All right. Vulnerability would be exposure. The next step. True vulnerability, or I shall say positive vulnerability, is the willingness to believe, to trust in a positive direction, that as you open up to everything, to the infinite, you are connecting to the infinite, and as you connect to the infinite, all you can receive in your life is infinite strength and support. Vulnerability does not have to be seen to be exposure and weakness.
Thank you.
Our unconditional love for you. Hey! What have you done?
About a month ago, I had a dream.
Oh, how exciting!
and I all want to go ahead on top of my head and had a vision of a entity or something in a dark shroud-like cape. And it was totally unrelated to the dream that I was having at the time. It woke me right up out of a sound sleep. And in fact, it frightened me.
Oh, all right.
Can you shed any light on what could possibly be the meaning of this?
Click. Did the light come on? All right. We'll do it another way. There are levels of what you may colloquially call extraterrestrial consciousness that do interact many times with you in your dream state. And touch, now and then, in the proper and gentle way, to open up another doorway to more of yourself. The fear is simply old ideas, old beliefs about being able to expand through that doorway, over that threshold, into what you call the unknown. But it's all right. You have friends, you have help, you're doing just fine. It is simply that you have, as many individuals have many times in your history, been touched. That is the origin of that terminology, touch. And that is why individuals in your society usually relate the idea of being touched with being crazy. Because it expands your senses into other dimensions that the majority of your society doesn't necessarily consider to be real. But the idea is that many of the contacts that go on take place in the timing when you say, I am ready, and they, with their assistance, create an energy touch which accelerates you and opens you up. It may startle you, but that's all right. You like surprises. You don't want your life to be boring. The idea is to simply recognize that all you're going to discover is more of yourself, that you have opened another door, and there is absolutely nothing about yourself you will ever discover that cannot be applied in your life in a positive way. You have been given some assistance. Trust that they are your friends, because that is your overall intention. You follow me? Yes. The dark robe simply symbolizes the idea that, to some degree, some of your notions are still wrapped in a cloak of fear, in a cloak of old definitions. That's all it really means. It means that you are now breaking through that veil. And you are going through the crown of your understanding, the vibrant, violet chakra energy of your higher consciousness. It means you are uplifting yourself. We thank you.
Thank you.
Does that serve you?
Yes, it does.
What pleasant dreams to you.
Bashar.
Good day to you.
Good day to you.
Well, thank you very much.
Earlier tonight, when Darrow was getting a line to allow you to speak to us, I found that the most exciting experience for me.
All right, thank you very much. Did you identify with the energy?
Yes, I did, and that's why I'm here asking a question.
All right.
I found for me in my life the most exciting thing I can do is speak to people about something that excites me.
All right, you go right ahead.
Well, actually, the question I wanted to ask you and to address is, do I have the ability, because this excites me, and what I saw here tonight excites me very much, do I have the ability within myself to channel?
Will you do me a favor?
Yes.
Will you take that question mark and straighten it out into an exclamation point and make a statement out of it? And see how it feels. Try it on for size. All right. Now, say the statement again, but say it as a statement. From what I have seen here tonight, because of the feelings I have created, I feel that because of that, continue.
I feel because of that, I have the ability to channel.
All right, now that's conviction. Now, do you believe it?
Yes, I do.
Well, thank you very much. You see how simple it is?
Okay. Thank you.
Remember that, once again, the idea may change, may alter, may come in many fashions. It is all right if it does so. Whichever methodology excites you the most because that is the alignment you have made. And all of you are capable of it. Not all of you necessarily prefer to do it in a particular way, but all of you channel right now. In a sense, what you all think of as your rock-solid personality, you're channeling them. Because they are only temporary manifestations of the oversoul that you are. So what you think of as your personality right now is a channeling. It is only one of the faces your soul could be presenting. You understand?
Bashar, will you explain oversoul?
Thank you very much. On a simple level, the idea of oversoul is simply that energy essence, that consciousness that you are, that is responsible for the creation of all of the individual lives you believe you have. Much in the same way that your hand has finger extensions. Each of the fingers can be considered a separate life, but they all lead back to the same hand. The oversoul is the overall energy of your consciousness, the overall being that you were created to be, that has fragmented itself and fractionalized itself into all the separate personalities in all the different time frames that you call past, present, and future lives. You follow me? Mm-hmm. Does that explain it sufficiently?
It does.
Thank you very much. So remember, you are channeling right now.
Thank you. May I say something?
Absolutely.
I like you very much.
I love you very much.
Come in. Bashar.
Good day to you.
I have been listening to tapes of you for about a month.
Oh, all right.
Probably about 150 hours worth.
Oh, all right.
And I have been really appreciating you.
Well, we appreciate all of you.
And prior to having listened to tapes of you, I've listened to probably 500 hours of tapes of other beings calling themselves ascended masters.
All right.
And I would like you to explain to me, from your viewpoint, who and what is an ascended master. I've heard it from their viewpoint. I'd like to hear it from your viewpoint.
An ascended master is simply someone who recognizes that they are an aspect of the infinite and acts like it. An ascended master will be the first one to remind you that you are all masters too. An ascended master flows through life and lets life flow through them. They know that they are in control by letting go. In a sense, that is an ascended master, you understand?
Yes.
It is one who represents what you may call the God self, the goddess self, the infinite self, in whatever symbolic manifestation is represented by your dimension of reality, in a loving, effortless, easy way, in a light way, in a knowing way, in a compassionate way, without struggle, without strife, without strain, without pain. Many individuals on your planet have created this reality for themselves. Many more are doing so now as you all elevate yourselves and ascend into your higher consciousness and become the representation of your higher consciousness on your planet, in your fourth density physical reality, the one you are transforming into. It does not have to be a mysterious title in that sense. It does not have to seem to be so separate from all of you. You're all masters. It is simply, in your terminology, a matter of degree, of how much conviction you have in what you say you believe in. An ascended master is simply someone, shall we say, to put it in your colloquial vernacular, who walks their talk. Does that help?
Yes, that's great.
Well, thank you very much.
I have one other request.
Proceed.
I like what you're doing with your hands.
We are telling a story.
Yeah, I see that.
Continue.
I brought my two children here tonight, and they, when we were talking in the car, what they'd like to have you explain to them, but are too shy to ask you, is would you give us a scenario of what it's like to be a child where you're from?
I'm doing that right now.
Yeah.
The idea to recognize is that everyone functions in a childlike manner, which means we give in to spontaneous, unconditional love. By what you call the age of 3. In your terminology, the child is off and interacting with all the individuals that will teach them what they need to know. Remember that we are telepathically connected and no one is ever out of sight, truly. And that the entire planet is really one family. The adults are the parents of all. The children are the children of all the adults. And we are all in one marriage of unconditional love. So it is very ecstatic, very joyful, very expansive, very spontaneous. Much like what your children now are teaching all of you to be like.
Okay.
Does that suffice?
Does that suffice, kids?
Is there something specific you wish to know about our children?
No? Okay. That's it.
They like to play, but so do the adults.
What kind of sports do they play?
There are a few variations of ideas, but none in your nature are competitive. There are things that do involve the idea, to some degree, of spheres, what you would call perhaps ball in that sense. But the idea is that each and every individual is absolutely applauded for their individual merit and interaction and participation in co-creating together one particular level of that interaction, of that reality, in your terms, in achieving a particular goal. Understand? In other words, they work as all one team. Make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There are many other ideas which we will discuss another time as well about different aspects of our society. At this timing, I will suggest that you all enjoy a short break. We will resume contact in approximately 10 to 15 of your minutes of time. That he felt would help us with our desire to create world peace. And he called it the peace clock. And so we put the information together that he channeled through, and it's a very simple project, very simple practice. He says it'll have a great deal of impact, however. There's basically two steps. First step is, wherever you are, every day, at 12 noon exactly, for 1 minute, to perform your own type of silent meditation, or however you want to do it, for world peace. The goal is to have every single person on Earth doing that by January 1st, 1990. The idea is that that will create an electromagnetic acceleration around the planet by the different time zones, being 12 noon, all the way around, 24 segments, and help accelerate an atmosphere on our planet that makes it more conducive to have world peace. So the idea of participating in this is not only to do the meditation at 12 noon for 1 minute every day yourself, but if you would, Linda is going to be making master copies of this. Take one of the master copies she will make, keep that master copy for yourself, and then make as many Xerox copies off of that as you want to, and share it with as many people as you possibly can in all walks of life, to allow them to also participate and get them to share it with as many people, etc., etc. That's all there is to it. He says synchronization, synchronized intention is really the whole key to getting it to really work. And Linda will have this information. She'll work up master copies for everyone, and you can get that from her whenever she gets that worked up. So please feel free to participate, and thank you very much. Are you having a good time?
Yeah.
Are you? Oh, yeah. Can you see me better now that I'm on the platform back there? And have some more fun. Say continue. And good day to you.
I have two questions. My first question has to do with, are other entities such as, like yourself, that are operating at an increased vibratory pattern, are you here to help assist in the change in consciousness to the fourth dimension? And is it also to help aid in the physical effects on the earth plane?
Yes. But the idea of the physiological effects on your earth plane, while we can be of some assistance, the majority of the assistance will come from your alignment. The assistance we give you in the acceleration itself, in meeting us halfway, in elevating the vibratory pitch of your own reality, you will then be of best assistance regarding the actual physiological changes which may or may not take place, and in what manner they may take place upon your planet according to the vibrations you set up on your planet. But we are being of assistance to you in this way to at least give you an opportunity to recognize you can change your frequency and that you can go through your transformation with an absolute minimum amount of negativity in terms of the manifestations as they occur upon your planet in the changes that will take place. You follow along?
Understood. My second question has to do with, when I was a child, I was visited by the tall shining ones. And I also had a sighting, and I was wondering if they were from the planetary system of the Pleiades, and if so...
There are Pleiadian connections, but there are also Arcturus connections.
Could you please tell me a little bit more about that?
Simply remember that the idea is that what you may typically call the Pleiadians are very much in very many ways all of your brothers and sisters and cousins in a very literal sense, since your humanity is very much an offshoot of them. The idea of Arcturus represents the gate of energy through which communication from other dimensions of experience is, shall we say, funneled into your dimension of experience. They are the regulating gate. In that sense, doesn't mean that it is regulating in a very structured sense, but that they are the translators of energy from other dimensions into your dimension, into symbols you can understand. And much of the emanation of energy, of dissemination of energy, and the regulation of the transformational rate that is going on your planet and many other planets within your galactic system is under the auspices of the Arcturus gate. They are also responsible for, shall we say, creating a particular type of energy alignment through which many of your children now being born are passing before they are being born, so they will forget less of who they are once they are born into your society. Understand?
Yes.
In that sense, they have connections into what you would call the angelic realm, and therefore are represented by a lot of non-physiological consciousness as well.
Okay.
This is some of what is represented in your symbology as shining ones. Some of it are aspects of Pleiadian energy, but a lot of it is aspects of extra-dimensional energy as it is symbolized in your material reality.
And is it possible to work with these beings?
Why not? You already are if you have recognition of the energy.
Okay. Thank you very much.
In what way do you wish to work with this energy?
I've already started a process of expanding my own awareness.
Very good. All you need to do then is to simply use the energy in whatever way is of best service to all the way that excites you the most, and you will be fulfilling that purpose brilliantly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Remember your own stellar qualities. Shipping!
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And you good day.
I'm so thrilled to be here.
Thank you. One more. For the last individual we had interaction with a moment ago, there will also be some assistance in your dream realities that will not come from us, but from some other individuals.
Thank you.
Continue.
I wanted to mention a dream that I had.
All right, go right ahead.
It keeps coming up for me.
Keeps coming up. All
I
right.
keep thinking about it. I haven't ever really explored or had any connection with spacecraft before, except through my very imaginative husband. I had a dream that I saw what appeared to be giant ball bearings, but I knew right away they were spacecraft.
All right.
But they weren't in our dimensions. They were.
Correct.
It was between two dimensions.
Yes, very good. Quasi-planar reality.
So what I saw was really a likelihood. I just wanted
yes.
validation that
Do understand a very accurate term for all of our type of energy, of various associations and civilizations, has been, shall we say, coined upon your planet. Extraterrestrial is all well and good, but in very many ways it is perhaps more precise to define it as ethereal. Because our physiological existence is mostly on what you would call an etheric vibration.
exactly what it was like.
Yes.
Exactly.
Now do understand that your planet is, in many ways, visited by many thousands of different ships. And the only reason many of you do not see them as often as you could is because you are not on that vibratory plane to perceive them. In your dream state, you allow yourself to be on the vibratory plane where we are very perceivable in our own natural environment, our own natural level.
Thank you, that felt great.
You see, that is why there are these notions that exist in many of your predictions, that your Earth will be saved by the appearance of thousands of ships, and you'll be taken off the Earth, and so on and so forth. We are not here to rescue you, we are not here to save you, you do not need saving. The idea, however, is that the recognition of all of the appearance of those thousands of ships is a reality, but the point is, you will see the ships that are already there when you raise your vibration to meet us halfway, and you will simply be able to see what has always been there.
That was my understanding.
That raising of your vibration yourself, that is the upliftment of the old earth. Understand? Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Does that answer your question sufficiently?
Yes, I have one more
All
question,
right.
and this pertains to a physical situation.
So, all right.
I am not used to having something control my physical body. I'm used to not paying attention to it, to not being ill, to just being in charge.
Yes, well, you always are, you know.
That's what I thought. One thing has got me, and I want to get rid of it.
somewhat pushed into it when I was pregnant, threatened that if I didn't take this certain substance, which is the thyroid hormone, that I would do damage to my daughter in utero and that kind of thing. So I started it, and I've been doing it for 5 years now.
All right.
I tell myself I can get off it, I get off it, my hair starts falling out, I get tired, I get anemic, and all. How do I get myself...
There may be in your reality, though we may not be able to be very precise about this, but there may be in your reality certain of what you would call natural herbal compounds that can assist the rebalancing of your bodily system. You understand?
Yes. I've considered looking into Chinese herbology. Is that a good lead? It struck me as being a good lead.
Then follow your imagination. It is there for a reason.
Okay.
It may not necessarily culminate only in that area, but it will direct you in the direction you need to go. One more. It has recently come, synchronistically, to the attention of the channel's consciousness that there is a collective body of work that was, as you say, concocted by an individual no longer physiologically alive upon your planet now, who goes, or used to go in your terms, by the name of Dr. Christopher.
Oh, yes.
These compounds are, in your terms, extremely efficacious and powerful. Perhaps researching those lists of compounds will be of assistance to you.
Oh, good, thank you. I even have one of his books.
All right.
I'm all done. Thank you very, very much.
We thank you very, very, very much. We would also, one moment, like to remind you and all of you of something that we consider to be very critical, very important as a point of view. Many of you may have heard this idea, but again, we will always say it as many times as necessary, since every time is the first time to us, until it clicks in whatever way it has to click. The idea, once understood, can cause profound changes in your reality from this one simple understanding. And it has to do with the idea of the notion of the separateness of your spirit and your body. They are not separate things. Your spirit does not exist inside your body, literally. I know that's how you experience the idea in your physiological universe, but that's only your physiological interpretation. Your body is your spirit in physical terminology. Your consciousness does not exist inside your body. Your body is not literally a shell. Your body exists within your consciousness. Understanding the difference can have profound effect on your ability to create your body to be represented in any way, shape, or form that your consciousness deems it ought to be represented. Because there is no separation between consciousness, spirit, and body, not really, not fundamentally. They are simply different faces of the same one thing. Understand?
Yes.
Does that assist you?
Very much so.
Well then, breathe deep and enjoy the fire within you. Ignite yourself and find yourself aligned to your highest vibratory aspiration. Shane!
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Recently I've experienced quite an expansion.
Oh, thank you. Quite an expansion.
Yes, of myself. And
A little louder, please.
Okay. I've experienced an expansion of myself and my, I guess coming to the fourth dimension. I don't quite understand that, but...
Well, that's all right. It is simply an escalated idea of vibrational pitch. It will still appear to be physiological to you, but things will move easily, as if it has all been lubricated. In a sense, it will have been, with love.
I don't see that to be true yet. What I feel
all right.
is I feel as if somebody wanted me to enjoy water and forgot to teach me how to swim.
All right.
And I feel a little frightened.
No, that's all right.
It's interesting, you know, it's wonderful. It feels wonderful, but it's just
yes.
It's like I'm lost.
All right.
Like, where am I going now?
Thank you. Why do you not find someone who is willing to teach you?
I guess I haven't looked.
Well, it can be that simple, you know. Doesn't have to be a big mystery. If you feel that you are ready to do so, attract someone who will teach you in a loving way and will allow you to get back in touch with the ideas that you may have in the past cut yourself off from. Being in the water will put you back in touch with many aspects of yourself. And you can attract someone who will teach you in a very loving way, so that it will not force you into something that you will not be ready to face. Understand?
Yeah, I am.
It is simply looking deeper into the self and understanding that there really is nothing there to fear. Not really, not intrinsically. Remember, there is no circumstance that is inherently fear-causing. Only your definition of it creates the fear reaction. The situation itself does not contain the fear. Understand? Mm-hmm. So, attract someone who might be willing to teach you. There may even be someone present this evening of your time synchronistically.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have done nothing. Does this serve?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Well, swim deep and strong. Perhaps you can also enlist the aid of some of your dolphin friends, since all of them interact with many of you in your dream realities and can teach you many things about being comfortable within that particular medium of existence. Do remember, from our point of view, your planet has two alien species, land human, water cetacean. They are, in many ways, like you. They are not animals, as you understand that term. They are another alien society. You have, right on what you call your own doorstep, an opportunity to form a first interaction with another alien society without going to the stars.
It's very interesting. I happen to live right near the Keys in Florida. I must have put myself there for a good reason.
There are no accidents. Take advantage of it. They are there to help you. Call them with your heart. They will come. They will teach you. It does not necessarily have to be a human that teaches you how to swim, you know. Sure.
Bashar.
Good day to you.
Good day. I'm an inventor, a creator.
Oh, all right.
Okay. I would like to have you put yourself in my place. I know about fusion.
Do you mean of the nuclear variety?
Yes, I do.
All right.
I also know about propulsion systems that would propel craft through other galaxies, using both to do so. But
both what?
Fusion and propulsion.
What type of propulsion?
Well, let's not get into that now.
All right.
Okay, here's what I want to talk to you about.
All right.
If you were in my place,
yes.
knowing of these things,
yes.
and I've gotten this information from patents that people that have done the research and has also been eliminated because of it, because it could be cheaper to supply energy to the public and cannot be monopolized. How would you, if you were in my spot, put this out to the public so it would be available so they would be able to travel and have abundance and limited amounts?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I would not buy into the idea of the fear and the paranoia. I would simply assume that this is something that really excites me and really interests me. I will automatically be guided by myself and by others into whatever avenues will allow me to put the information out in the way that serves the best of all concerned, and that it will not be interrupted nor stopped. Do remember that anyone who has, in your terminology, been suppressed has bought into that reality and has reinforced it with their fear and their panic. So, first of all, I would not buy into the idea that that particular past scenario has anything at all to do with me. Step number one.
Okay, so you say if you don't buy in, how would you spread this out through the planet?
I would simply do it in whatever way excites me the most, knowing that by doing that, the word will spread, because I will attract the individuals who will be most capable of spreading the word. And I will spread myself when any other individuals come in contact with myself that would be interested to learn what I am doing. At the same time, I would also treat, now in no way, shape, or form is this derogatory to what you are exploring, for what you are exploring is necessary. But I will also understand that the ideas that you are referring to of fusion in the nuclear fashion is going to be rendered relatively obsolete very soon. The idea is to understand that the electromagnetic field of your planet will supply all the energy you need for the type of propulsion that isn't really propulsion at all. It is more of a retranslation of matter.
Tapping in, synchronicity. I know about this
already.
This has already been done back in 1934.
Yes.
But the person, Moray,
and many others.
And many others, they have also been suppressed.
Understood. But that was then and this is now, is it not?
Yes.
So define what reality you live in now, define what world you live in now, and remember, do not relate to the idea of your government as a fearful thing, because that's the only thing that reinforces their ability to suppress. Remember that you are your government, and that simply, whatever reality you prefer, you can start living as if you are in that reality now, and whoever you attract, you will be able to interact with them in a way that will still allow you the full expression you require, as long as you do not buy into the fear of the suppression.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for propelling yourself quite rapidly along.
Bashar, welcome.
And to you, good day.
Okay, I take care of interior plants,
Interior blank.
Plants that are broad inside, and they're not always happy about being in these controlled environments that we have made for them.
All right.
Some of them are manifesting symptoms of insects, and I'm having a real problem. I would like to be in direct contact with the nature kingdom, and I welcome them, but they're not coming fast enough. I'm an impatient person. I want to.
Why?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
Why?
Because you're not living in the moment.
I'm not living in the moment. Okay.
Plants live in the moment. How can you identify with something that lives in the moment if you don't?
All right. How do I compare from scale? I mean, how can I raise the vitality of a plant so that they're not manifesting a sickness symptom?
Well, first of all, bathe them in love. Remember that they are basking in your atmosphere.
Should I be using more flower essences specifically with them?
More herbal compounds will be of assistance, but also, one more. An electromagnetic frequency, similar to what you call your earth vibration, can also be of assistance to them.
Oh, explain that. That's confusing.
Electromagnetic pulses, low in nature, very low amperage, as you would call it, leaking into the soil in which they are planted, trickling in low energy pulses that are synchronized with your earth harmonic of 7 1/2 cycles per second. Now, there may be a slight range to this for different plants, but you can test the idea of their electronic frequency with measuring devices, and in a sense discover, by testing what you would call healthy areas, what the electrical potential of that area is, and recreating that electrical potential in the soil with the minerals that need to be there. Because when certain minerals are in the soil and a certain electrical potential is set up, it crystallizes in a particular way and gives vital energy to the plant that it needs, that it has been cut off from in terms of its natural earth setting.
So should I be working more with radionics?
To some degree. You don't have to go, as you say, overboard with that. Some also crystalline manifestations planted in the soil will be of assistance as well, such as quartz and amethyst and various ideas. Experiment with it and see what the plant likes.
Talk with me later.
And talk with that person later. See what you can get from that. Do trust, above and beyond everything, the synchronicity of relying on the information that abounds all around you. Take what you believe will work for you. You don't have to take everything. But do trust that within any gathering, within any interaction, there is usually more than enough information to serve all the parties that have attracted themselves to that interaction.
Okay.
Rely on yourselves. You all are very, very resourceful.
Please, Bashar, explain the 7 1/2 whatever per
cycles per second.
Yes, please.
Each and every plant, each and every world has a particular electromagnetic pulse, a frequency that represents the base, stable vibration, the signature frequency of that planet. The way you find that frequency is generally as follows, by this equation. If you take the circumference of your planet and divide that into your speed of light, you will get a number that represents the electromagnetic frequency in cycles per second. In this case, of your Earth, 7 1/2 approximately. Understand? By aligning something with that electromagnetic frequency, you are allowing it to be identified with the signature vibration of Earth that is most nourishing. Now, there can be overlapping vibrations that will take care of other specific ideas. But the fundamental ground vibration, that heartbeat of the Earth, is what will nourish all life on the Earth. You understand?
Yes. And how do you tell us to align if we want to be one with it? How do we vibrate at that rate?
By very centered breathing, calm, living in the moment, relaxed states of meditation is a very good way. By toning something that represents a vibration that hits you where it counts in your heart, what strikes your chord, whatever feels like it moves you, is aligning with your particular signature frequency. By identifying with that energy, by allowing yourself to simply enjoy sometimes in a detached state of attachment, the idea of nature itself can put you absolutely in alignment with that state of being, that state of vitality, that state of health. You will know it when you feel it. Mostly it takes relaxation, because in a sense you're already automatically aligned with it. All you have to do is let go of all your resistance, and you will usually find that you will slip right back into your natural state of alignment. Remember that the idea of health is not some place to, quote-unquote, get to as if it is foreign. It is some place to simply let yourself float back to because it is your natural state of existence. Understand?
Yes.
It is letting go of resistance. Then you pulse in harmony with the reality that you are a part of, automatically. It is an automatic setting. So anything at all that will inspire your imagination to allow you to drift back to that state of joy will automatically align you with the natural pulse of the earth. You follow?
Yes.
Sometimes also, certain frequencies, and you can experiment with this, of blue and violet light, will also aid in the growth of the plant consciousness. But we will leave that up to you to experiment with.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Sometimes also crystalline energized water can assist them. Shooting!
Thank you, Bashar, for explaining that 7.5. I've seen several recent tapes.
And good day to you as well.
Now, I have a couple of questions about spacecraft.
Spacecraft! Speak up so that all may hear.
All right. First one is, I have always wanted to be able to see them, or to see them, and I never have.
All right.
Have I simply failed to be looking at a place where one was, or is there something deficient in my perceptions? Are they of the wrong vibratory level or something?
Not really.
Be unable to perceive them?
In fact, all of you have seen them, but for various reasons have blanked that out. The idea simply may not serve your immediate identification of who and what you need to be at that moment. Do understand, it is not that critical that you see our craft. The idea is to focus on your own being right now. When you really need to see it, you'll see it. Nothing will stop it. Nothing at all. But the idea right now can simply be to focus on your own light. And again, remember that the issue is to meet us halfway. To some degree, yes, it has to do with vibratory rates, but all of you have seen them. It is simply that you do not necessarily need to retain the memory of it, because in many cases it would impede allowing you to be who you are in the most natural and spontaneous way. Where it serves to remember the incident, you will remember.
Okay, and how does one raise one's vibratory level?
By doing what excites you the most. What excites you the most?
This sort of thing. I just wanted to know in general.
Then why not build your own?
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
Your civilization is capable of doing it. Do your research.
Can I ask a second question?
Absolutely.
Okay. A friend of a friend of a friend of mine, maybe, no, just a friend of a friend, knows the author of a book called Communion, which is this very scare story account of... That
individual went through a lot of fear recognition. Yes, there is nothing inherent within the encounter that was fear-inducing.
An Orion type of UFO.
No.
It wasn't?
No.
Association?
Reticulum. Zeta reticulum. The idea of the fear comes from the individual himself, not from the encounter. Because remember, a higher vibratory state exposing itself to a lower vibratory state will raise the vibration of the lower being to force it to face many things it has not been willing to face within itself, and that is what the being is terrified of. Understand?
Yeah.
But that being is dealing with it, is integrating the fear and the terror, and transforming it into positive understanding, and that has been one of the purposes for those interactions, because it was understood that that being would communicate his experiences, and allow other individuals to come to terms with their own fears, so that by the next, shall we say, wave of interactions, there would be less fear to integrate.
I understand that, but my reaction was that the book might be scaring more people than it's uplifting.
That's all right. Because in a sense, it will still allow them to face certain ideas, to come to terms with them. The idea simply is, however, also that these things are done with agreement. Do not forget. Your entire planet on one level is agreeing to this particular type of teaching. It doesn't have to happen that way, but it is completely up to your world as to whether or not it will wake up or be shaken away.
Well, I sort of think that book is perhaps disadvanced the progression because...
No.
The opposite effect of, for instance, your teachings.
I understand what you are saying, but there are many individuals that simply cannot relate to the idea any other way, and therefore they have been given the tool that will work best for them. It isn't for everyone, that is true, but it will hit those where it needs to. Understand?
Yeah.
Now, do not necessarily see it as a disvalue, because then you will reinforce the inability of certain people to absorb it.
Right.
Understand that it will hit home where it needs to. It has already awakened many.
I thought that particular account pertained to Orion type negative craft, which are occasionally
No. That group of beings is to some degree a recent part of the association and is represented by the star system in your language called Zeta Reticulum. These cases have cropped up on your planet many times now. You are very familiar with many of these cases, and it is usually the same group of beings because they are the facilitators for very specific reasons, some of which we cannot get into at this time. The idea, however, is that other groups will also assist them in many different ways, but that both their civilization and your civilization have agreed to do this in this way to serve both of you in the ways you need to be served. For they are getting something out of this too.
Are they advanced ahead of ours?
Oh, in a sense. But there are ways in which you are more advanced, and that is what they are learning. Mostly it is an emotional understanding.
Right, that's why that book's so upsetting, because they're sort of almost below us in that sort of a way.
They are more of a mass mind, which is something that many of you fear greatly. You are far more individualistic, which is something they fear greatly.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Shilling! And to you good day.
You mentioned earlier tonight about an oversoul with tentacles coming down as individuals.
Well, yes, did not mean to make it sound like you're an octopus. But that is a good enough analogy, yes.
And the idea of time all being now, then all those existences would be
simultaneous.
And can a person explore the different ones of his own?
Yes, he can. The easiest way to do so, however, is to live in the now in the one you are in, so that you will open a gate where they all overlap. In other words, do not do it at the expense of your present life, or under the assumption that you absolutely need that understanding in order to understand what's going on with you now. You can gain an understanding because you have all the ingredients necessary to live the life you are living at present, and that is true for every life. However, it is a very valid and can be a very exciting insight into the self, into the oversoul, into the entire idea of the themes that you explore through many lifetimes. You can approach it in many ways. Trust your imagination. That's what it's for. One suggestion is what we have called the film or the projectionist analogy. Remember that the different lives are like unto the characters that exist on separate frames on one of your film strips. Those characters can only experience their reality one frame at a time. This frame coming now, this frame coming then, this frame coming after. That is their sense of continuity. However, to the projectionist, the entire film strip exists all at once. That's the viewpoint of the oversoul. So you can use that analogy perhaps in a meditative state to envision and imagine yourself pulling back from the film strip of this particular life and viewing the entire film strip, all the frames, and then allowing your vision to sink down into another film strip representing another life. See if that works for you. See what you get. It isn't as difficult as it sounds. The only reason sometimes it is more difficult than you think it is because what you get, you invalidate. That's too easy. That's just my imagination. I'm just fantasizing. That isn't real. But very often you get very accurate and very valid information, and you simply discount it, because it seems like it actually comes more easily than you have been taught such things are possible to get.
That's great. Thank you.
Does that serve you?
Yeah, really does.
Well, thank you very much. Curtain going up. Yes.
Good evening, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Ever since I was a young boy, the one thing that I was really striving to bring about was a certain quality of fearlessness. Fearlessness.
All right. Boldness of conviction. Yes.
Thank you. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact of the society we live in terms of being male-oriented.
All right.
That's how I define it.
All right. There are fearless females, however. I know quite a few. Would you like to meet one?
We live in America.
In what way at this time may we serve you?
What I am curious about is the inhibition that I am finding in order to bring this about. What I would like to do with this is establish this as a base, as a primal self-image in which, from that foundation, any type of creation, whatever vibration can come about. And there's been a certain block. It's driven me for as long as I can remember to do certain things, some of them a little on the edge. And I'm just curious about it.
We thank you for your attention to this detail. The idea simply can be understood in the following manner, if you wish. First, it comes from the heart, and it is simple knowingness that you desire. The idea of your conviction, the conviction that you seek, does not necessarily have to be expressed through forcefulness. Conviction is a knowingness within the self, is a certainty of the self. And conviction comes from a blending of the masculine and feminine polarities within each and every individual within your society. And most importantly, of the unconditional love you give to yourself, in knowing that you were created to be a complete being, and that you are a complete being still. Rely on that idea that you are still a complete being. And allow yourself to nurture yourself, to give birth to yourself, the self you prefer to be. For you are female and you are male. You are both as a soul. A soul is not one way or the other in that sense. It is the essence of all polarity. Those polarities may manifest themselves in your society because your society by definition is one of polarity in that way. But you do not have to require stamina in order to express the idea of conviction. Stamina is an effort. Stamina is a struggle. All it takes is the knowingness of the self, the trust of the self, and the allowance that both sides, the female, the receptive, and the male, the assertive in that sense, the positive and negative, not meaning good or bad, but simply the balance of energy in that way, will allow you to exist within the center of your being and do all things with deliberateness, with absolute blend of spirit and will, with the expansiveness of love, and at the same time the conscious commandment that you require in your physiological reality. All it takes is an active being. It is the action that is important in your reality, for you are a physical being in a physical world. And it is your right to enjoy that. And it is your right to allow all the manifestation you desire to happen with ease and clarity in your sight. But it begins by nurturing yourself from your feminine side and allowing yourself the understanding of your clarity of purpose and your strength of resolution. And remembering that the decisions that you make will stick, and that your reality does not have a mind of its own. Only you decide what is true for you. You understand?
Yes, I do. I have no problem with the idea of the masculine, feminine, and bringing forth that feminine polarity. I have no problem with that, because there's a lot of things I like to do and think about that are of that nature. But what seems to happen is that through the inability to integrate this, there seems to be a certain rigidness or a certain solidness that some abilities that I want, that I know I can have, just aren't there, just can't be realized.
May I ask you a personal question?
Certainly.
Why do you assume you have an inability to integrate? And if you were integrated, how would it appear? How would you recognize it?
Total extroversion, complete.
Does that mean that you will never be introspective? Does that mean you will never be meditative? Does that mean you will never nurture yourself within the very core of your being? Remember, there is much information in silence. Remember, there is much power in being at the center. And the idea of extroversion is simply in the deliberateness of the act, no matter what the act is. It does not mean that you have to be an extrovert, someone who is exemplifying it in an externalized manner. If you simply have decided that you shall be quiet, that is a deliberate decision, and it's just as much an expression of extroversion as anything.
Mm-hmm.
I am an extrovert enough to decide that I will be introverted for a while because that is what I prefer. Understand?
Yes, I do.
Perhaps it is all those definitions that make it seem as if you have an inability to integrate what truly is already integrated within you and really has never been separated at all.
I don't understand that.
You are assuming that these ideas are not integrated. You are assuming that the idea of one polarity should not be experienced at the expense of the other polarity. The idea is to blend them both by allowing both representations, both the outwardness and the inwardness, to be just as deliberate representations of conviction as anything else.
I don't feel that's the problem.
Why do you feel you have a problem? Let me ask you another question. Can you create in your imagination a picture of what you would be like if you were operating in the way you say you desire to operate? Then why do you not simply act like that person?
Okay. That gets into another area because I was going to ask you about observability.
All right. What about observability?
I guess what it is, I have a problem with the idea of saying, okay.
Would you do me a favor? You do not have to.
I will.
But I will ask.
Go ahead.
Would you recognize that what you are labeling as a problem is simply a situation that you believe is difficult to change? And therefore do not necessarily assume nor label that you continually have a problem. For you do not. You are reinforcing a reality you say you don't want. So why say you have a problem? Why not say you are simply exploring a new understanding of yourself and become excited about it?
Okay, well...
So the new understanding you're exploring is, rather than the problem I am having is...
Okay, that's all time related. It's because it's been going on for what I consider to be a long time. If it was like a year...
You have to go any faster than you are going. But since you are involving us in this interaction, we will assume that you may desire to accelerate your pace.
Yes.
Therefore, whether it is time-related or not, who do you want to be now? Do you have a picture of that? Then why are you not acting like that person?
I don't know. There's a difficulty.
If you say so.
Okay, I did.
Back up.
Pardon me?
Back up. The first response was, I don't know. Why are you not acting like that person? I don't know. Then why not act like
old
that?
Habits. Hard to change old habits.
You know what that is all about. You understand that the minute you recognize you have a habit, you don't have it anymore. Because by definition, a habit is something that you do that you don't know you're doing. Once you know you're doing it, you don't have it anymore, and if it keeps on happening, it's because you choose to believe it must. Why choose to believe that? You have to be beyond it in order to know you had it.
Okay. Because the reality that desire is seemingly hard to just fall into and believe.
Why?
I don't know. It doesn't make...
Then don't believe that it is not. Don't believe that it is difficult.
It's the old rhetoric, just because that's the way things have been. And
why do you keep falling back on that excuse?
I guess it's handy. I don't know.
Yes, it is. It is very handy. Put it beyond your reach. You don't need it anymore. It's not a tool that serves you anymore. Why do you keep picking it up?
Simply for the reason that if a person says he is this,
yes,
and he acts on that to become that, there's something about that is just not credible.
That is because you do not necessarily believe in conviction.
I understand philosophically what it's all about.
Why is there a difference between philosophy and reality? You are making many separations, and it is this, the making of many separations, that is creating what you are calling a difficulty. You are very analytically labeling. Now, if this is something you enjoy, by all means continue it, but do understand, as long as you insist on your shortcomings, you will get them.
Okay, I understand that.
All right. Then do not label if you do not prefer it. Remember that all of these issues that you are basing other issues on have no more weight than the issues that you are basing them on. You are creating them to carry whatever weight you want them to carry. They are all made out of tissue paper. No one of them has any more weight No one of them is any more a fabric of existence, a law of reality than any other. You are basing assumptions on assumptions on assumptions on assumptions.
Yeah, I want to get away from that, Dean.
Then stop.
I'm done being analytical.
Then
That didn't work.
Stop. Stop. Just stop. Just stop. See the person you want to be in your imagination. Use your imagination in the sparkling way we know you can. Use that imagination. Create the image of the you prefer to be, and then key and lock all your senses into it. Get involved in what you may call a visceral way, a tactile way.
Visceral?
Yes. Visualize it.
Oh.
See it.
Okay.
See as that person. See what it would be like to see if you were that person. See in the way that person would see. Taste in the way that person would taste. Hear in the way that person would hear. Touch in the way that person would touch. Act like that person. Be that person in thought, word, and deed, in all your actions. And be excited about being that person, because if you were that person, you would be excited, would you not?
Yes, sir.
Then be excited about that person you see. Junction with it. Merge with it. Blend with it. Be that person. Fall into the role. And you will be that person. And you will have the lifestyle of that person. You see, this is what your imagination is for, my friend. This is what your imagination is for. It's for you to create a template. And for you to allow yourself to blend and merge with that template. And then you will get the reality that is represented by that persona. Because remember, the persona that you are is an artificial construct. It is created out of belief, emotion, and thought. And when you change the definition of your belief and the reactions of your emotion and the patterns of your thought, you change the person that you are. And whatever person you change yourself into now is the reality that you have, and you can have no other, because you cannot experience the vibration of a reality that you are not the vibration of. Understand?
Yes, I do.
That is what your imagination is for. Let it serve you, for it serves you well. But you are in control. Create the you prefer to be. And copy what you see in your imagination, in all the actions. That person you want to be does not act in the way you act now, does not approach things in the same way, does not have the same attitude. Have the attitude and the approach of the person you say you want to be, and you will have the resultant lifestyle, because you can have no other by being that person. It is that easy.
Thank you very much. One quick question. Who are you being right now?
I am representative of the idea you call a female aspect of the Ecstasy civilization, and I have taken upon myself the nomenclature of anima. I am the female counterpart of the being you know as Bashar. Do you understand?
Yes.
His wife?
We do not have exactly that idea.
What do you have?
The entire society is one marriage. And all interrelationships within our society take place within that one marriage. If you wish, you may simply say, to explain it in your terminology, that we are more like brother and sister, in simply the way we have arranged our relationship. And I am his feminine counterpart, I am my own being, and I have my own masculine side, which you are seeing some of right now. But the idea also is that Bashar has his own feminine side, which you get from time to time. But I am my own distinct female personification, and you would recognize me as female in form. I am approximately under the idea you would call 5 feet of height, and I have whitish grey skin coloration, very wide upturned almond-shaped eyes, and very long white hair. The idea simply is that we are similar in aspect to what you may call Mongolian in your racial types, although we are not identical to that idea, but similar in that sense. I have taken upon myself the nomenclature of anima, simply in the same way that Bashar has called himself Bashar, to facilitate conversation between us. And wherein we recognize that in your definitional language, the word anima means the feminine principle as it exhibits itself through a man, which is what is happening right now. We thank you for your inquiry. We thank you for your expression of willingness. We thank you for your co-creation. And we give all of you our unconditional, heartfelt love. Has it been of service to you?
Yes, it has. Thank you very much.
We thank you. Sure.
Hi, Bashar.
And you good bird.
Ever since a few years ago, I have been drawn to performing.
All right.
And every time I'm performing or auditioning to perform,
Yes.
I think of my mother.
Why?
I don't know.
All right. There may be many connections, but I'll give you 1%. Each and every time you perform, since we have already talked about the idea that persona is an artificial construct and every new person you become is really a new person, in a sense, you are also thinking about the maternal energy that gives birth to each and every one of those new personas. Because you are literally giving birth to a new person every time you become, shall we say, lost in a role. A literal new person. I am not talking philosophically. I'm not talking the idea of what we call analogy. I'm talking literal. Every time you define yourself at any given moment to be a new person, you are a new person. That means you have a new path and a new future. You are who you are right now. That is a birth of sorts, and that can connect you into a maternal energy. It can connect you into your own maternal energy, and perhaps some ideas that were unconsciously transmitted to you from your literal physiological maternal parent in terms of what the agreement was between you that you made for her to reflect to you in this physiological life. That is one specific that we pick up on. Is there anything else about this you wish to explore?
No, that's it.
Do you find that you perform with passion?
Yes.
As much as you want? Or would you like more?
No, if I did any more, I'd be overacting.
Let it seep into every level of your life. Does this serve you sufficiently?
Yes, it does.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I was wondering about humor and seriousness in our present society.
Yes.
Seems to be a polarization.
Well, yes and no.
Monday mornings seem to be serious, the weekends are humorous.
Well, perhaps because you classically begin your week with the day of the moon, which represents the delving into your unconscious state, where you may still have many things to process, and it allows you to be a little bit meditative about that idea. And the final seventh day is the day of the sun and enlightenment, and it lightens you up and accelerates your vibration to give you the energy necessary to go into the contemplation once again on the day of the moon, to find more of yourself and integrate. It is a polarity cycle, it is a pendulum cycle, yes, but it is a lovely process.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Shelley! And to you, good day. Speak up so that all may share. Be bold.
Okay, can you tell us anything about pyramid power?
Pyramid power.
Yes.
The idea of what you call the tetrahedral structure and the pyramidal structure, 4 and 3-sided, are basically lenses for the electromagnetic field upon your planet and will distort that electromagnetic field much in the same way that a glass lens focuses light. It will distort and focus that electromagnetic field, and many different effects can be created from placing vibratory light within the field, within the focus, within the atmosphere, the bubble that is generated by those prisms, those electromagnetic prisms. They are crystalline forms and therefore are representative of particular pulses of the electromagnetic spectrum, and those pulses can be utilized in many different ways, especially for the creation of what can be called stasis fields or interdimensional gates, in which, when you are in that atmosphere, you can get in touch with many other levels of yourself and contact many other dimensional realities. How's that? Is that sufficient? Yes. Thank you very much. And Sherry.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
What excites me the most is doing abstract visual art.
Oh, very good.
Lately, I've been using a lot of colored triangles, almost exclusively very abstract, a lot of different primary colors,
Very powerful.
prime colors.
Yes, very powerful. So you are dealing with the basic building block of physical reality, the tetrahedral structure and the triad, which is the basic polarity with the apex that represents putting the polarity into integrative motion.
Yeah, I'm using symmetry. And can you tune into my work? I have two questions. One, can you tune into my work? I would love to get a fourth density opinion. Secondly, what is visual art like in the fourth density? Is it abstract?
Can we have you are doing it? Do understand this. It doesn't necessarily have to be that much different than what you are doing now. It simply is done with absolute passion, without doubt, without worry. It is a flow, it is a sharing, and In the fourth density, it also truly contains a perceivable life of its own. It truly reflects the artist's consciousness in many ways, and can actually allow individuals to fall into trance states and explore their own realms of consciousness, even while they have been triggered and catalyzed by the art that they are viewing. That is more of a fourth density representation, because all art is holographic in nature, and only represents a thin slice of an overall structure. So look at it that way. You can paint holographically. If you understand that what you are doing is a slice of a holographic structure, you can put implications in it and signals and symbols in it that can lure the individual that is seeing that slice to delve further and explore further into the entire structure that may be invisible, more or less, behind and in front of and above and below the canvas, or whatever is your medium.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Also, in time you'll be dealing with energy itself, even as we do now, and we'll have energy sculptures.
Wow.
Created by mass mentality. We also have this as an art form. This is very enjoyable to us. We gather 3 individuals together and space them equilateral distances apart, and they focus into the center. And as they focus into the center, they create with their mentality, shall we say for now, a thickening of the energy atmosphere, into which a non-physical being can project a symbolic representational form of itself to make itself seen and perceived in that physical dimension. Very much fun. Does this serve?
Yes, it does.
We thank you for your art. Remember, life is art. Live it as an art.
Thank you.
We thank you. At this timing, we extend to each and every one of you once again our deepest appreciation for allowing us to experience the love and the sharing and the co-creation of this dream reality. Remember, you are dreaming right now. Right now. So wake up and live the dream you prefer to. It's your choice. It's your right. You deserve it. Remember, if you exist, you deserve what you can conceive of. Because if you did not deserve it, you would not be able to conceive of it. All that is, the infinite creation has created all beings. If you did not deserve existence, you would not exist. Treat yourself with the same respect that all that is has for you. No one is extraneous. Everyone fits. And if you have some form of expression you desire to release, there must be a stage somewhere wherein that expression can be played out. For there are no one-sided coins in creation. You can always match and attract the opportunity and the circumstance to allow you to express yourself to the fullest that you believe you are capable of. Always. And you will attract it effortlessly. And you will accelerate your ability synchronistically to do that. All you have to do is trust in the positive self that you are, love yourself, love the infinite, be of service in the way that excites you the most. All the details will fall automatically into place. Feeling like you are not controlling anything is being completely in control. It is simply that your society is so used to feeling that you have to push things into place that when it becomes effortless, you think you are actually losing control, when in fact, that's how you gain it. Go with the flow. We thank you for this interaction. Our unconditional love to you. An exciting dream life and life dream to you all. And a fond and loving good day.
How'd it go?
Thank you, Linda and friends, for having us here. We've enjoyed it immensely.
Thank you for being here tonight.
We're going to Toronto tomorrow to share with that group before we get back. Those who want a copy of tonight's tape, you can have it tonight. It's just $10 for the 2 tapes. We'd like to provide those. We've got 25 sets. We've got the first tape made, and we'll make the second tape right now, and you can pick them up on your way out if you like.
You only have 25 sets?
Thank you all very much.
The rest of them you'll have to order.
Thank you.
You'll have to order by mail order, which the sheets are back there as well. We also have the Self-Empowerment Workshop, which is 4 solid hours of guided meditation by Bashar, and also the new metaphysics book. Thank you.